Nationalism TV. Fuentes talked about you on Wednesday, and then he said that no white guilt won't convince the libs we aren't racist. Wow, is that what it says here? John says hi from England. Of course, we've never. This is what Nick Fuentes is responding to, is like the Greg Johnson lies about me, and I guess and as a result, this community as well, the total lies that the claim that we are trying to win over anti-whites. At no point in 3 decades of service to the white race and our well-being have I ever argued that. So Greg Johnson is obviously a lying. It's a tabloid thing that he produces over there. He lied his ass off, and the others who wrote in similar fashion were lying as well. And it's because of deep jealousy, very, very deep jealousy. So it seems like Nick maybe read one of those articles, or heard from somebody who did. And that's why he's saying this about convincing anti-whites. He's calling them libs, and then using their concept racist, which is the ring of Sauron. I think Nick really was at his best when he got started, and it was like a Johnny Carson, like a right-wing Johnny Carson type of character on the internet, and with a lot of implied slanders for non-white people and this sort of thing. And that got his audience just giggling and having fun. And he got it into his head somehow that he was some sort of big national figure that could make a difference in our plight in the West here. And then he changed drastically, and it really took a very different turn after Patriots Day. So I think he should go back to his origin and be of value to white people. What he's doing now is not valuable. Yeah, this whole thing, getting people focused on another race of man, and in this case, the jaywalkers, is so deleterious for individuals who care about, or who start out caring about, white sympathetic views, white people, the victimization of white people. We can't say enough. And I understand that it's a very difficult thing to comprehend, that you look out into the world, and I'll try to explain it in brief here. You look out into the world as a white person, and you're not looking out into the world as a member of a people, a group of individuals who see themselves wed together as a single people. So you look out into the world, we all look out into the world, and we look at the world as individuals to various degrees, maybe radical individualists. And then we see out in the world, and this is where it's unbelievably reductionist, and also a very simple thing to understand. And that's why so many people, all the way down to midget wits, they can see this and then they fall for it. So we look out into the world as individuals, and we say, well, the guy at my place of employment that is getting in my way to a promotion, he is the problem. And he is, right? If he's actively getting in the way to your promotion, he is the problem. So you look out into the world, and then you're like, well, I go to school, or maybe it's a club that you're in, and there's a woman whose attention you would like. But there's another guy there, and he's always getting in the way. She has her eyes on him, and every time she seems to be potentially interested in you, maybe she's going to initiate the conversation or respond to your efforts to get her attention. This guy shows up. He's clearly the problem. That guy is the problem. You've got to address that guy for you. Here's where it goes wrong. You look out into that same world. You're doing the exact same thing. What's in my way out there as an individual? What's in my way? And you look out into the world and you see anti-whites out there of various races. And there is one group of people who, when acting anti-white, have garnered themselves a lot of attention over time. It's not the whole group. It's whatever percentage, I'm sure, is fluctuating and to different degrees of anti-whiteism, some not anti-white at all. But you look out into that world as an individual and you say, they are poisoning my chances at a happy life as an individual. They've gotten in the way of, I wanted to go to this school, but now that school is taking only non-white students or mostly non-white students. And that's in part because of this anti-whiteism that you might call various names if you're wrong, right? You might wanted to be an actor. You might wanted to, whatever it is. And you look out into the world as this individual and you see groups of anti-whites, the most successful, the wealthiest, they're the ones who get the most attention. And on top of that, you have this whole sort of industry of hating this group. And you fall a prey to blaming the totality of that group for you as an individual not being able to get what you want in the world, not being able to achieve what you want in the world. You then find other people who hold the same opinion, other individualists who feel like they're not able to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish in the world, and it's because of this group. So you get together with other individuals in animosity, in hatred, in disgust, and contempt for some group. This is akin to forming an alliance with other individuals who hate the Dallas Cowboys. You do not form a people. You do not even form a cohesive operational organization for the benefit even of the organization, much less the people that you're not forming, by gathering individuals who selfishly and individually see and have concluded for various reasons. Some of those reasons might be legitimate. Some of those reasons might be false, that another group of people out there are in their way to their individual success. The only thing that perpetuates is more radical individualists being angry with a specific group of people, and in this case, the jaywalkers. This is it's obviously an extremely complex thing and very difficult thing for people to understand, because I've explained it many times, and yet what ends up happening is all of these individuals who get together to be angry with jaywalkers because these individuals can't get what they want out of the world, they then say, when I come forward and I say to them something like, even if this entire group, and it is not the case, but even if they were born genetically anti-white, again, it's not the case, it would still be deleterious for you and our people to live in this story of theirs as their villain. It's deleterious on many different levels, not the least of which is that we need to form a people out of our deracinated race, because that hatred on that group can be transferred to anywhere else and on ourselves, on our different ethnicities in the blank, but it won't even get to that. I come along and I say this to these folks. This is bad for you. Your life, you'll have nothing but hardship as a consequence. You'll never be able to develop, we will never be able to develop a people out of our deracinated race because of this focus, because of this centering of some other group. And they say, how dare you try to make excuses for the group that has gotten in the way of me getting a girlfriend, of me getting a wife, of me getting the job I wanted, of me being a movie star, of me getting into the commercials. How dare you get in the way of me being angry with them? And of course, my goal is to recapture our destiny. My goal is not to hate on anti-whites in general for what they've done to me. My retribution, my retaliation, my revenge is to form a people out of the deracinated race, to contribute at least to that process. And that's what we do with these concepts. That's why I say to these people, for sakes, if you want to just hate on somebody because you didn't get a group of people, because you didn't get what you wanted to get out of life, then just go do that. Just go away. Because that won't better our situation at all. It's not going to better my life. It's not going to better your life. And you're never going to succeed, ever. I mean, there are so many examples. You're never going to succeed in condemning this entire group and getting the population to jettison them or whatever you would personally like to see happen to them. Whatever you would like to see happen to a group of people that you've convinced the totality are the cause of all rapes, all murders, all national undermining, and etc. I'm sure you want nothing but good things for them, right? Squatting down in that and believing that anything good is going to come of it in the light of the fact that you had a industrialist in Henry Ford, that in a very healthy America, a very white and very healthy America, Henry Ford was revered as like a demigod in the United States. And he went down the name them path. And what did that do for him? In that very healthy, that very white atmosphere, white people who were nowhere near the infection with mean pathogens, anti-white ideas as they are today, he totally failed. I can only assume that for Henry Ford, I don't know for sure, he was thinking about Western kind in the country. I can only assume maybe he was. But what did he do for us? What ended up happening by going down that? He had mainstream respected news source that's syndicated everywhere, reading it in your newspaper, not getting it from cranks, from absolute retardist, clownish, buffoonish cranks with a bullhorn shouting at innocent people as they go to and from their places of worship and whatever it is. No one's going to listen to that, obviously. This was in the mainstream press to a very healthy America. So these people, they're just, I mean, I'm sorry to say, because to a degree it's true of the vast majority of white people, but they're just losers. They didn't get what they wanted in various arenas of their lives, and they've decided, here's my scapegoat, and I'm going to direct all my rage at the scapegoat, and then I'm going to develop an argument to justify my rage for this group. I'm going to say that everything will be better. Everything will be better if everybody hates them as much as me. Everything will be better if everybody is as critical of them as much as me. This is the kind of argument. And over the years, I've said, Okay, well, how do you, first of all, you're never going to get to that point. But even if you could, then what? How do we get to a white nirvana? And never have any of them been able to answer that. It's just a God of the gaps. Oh, it just happens then. Because without them, all the things that are bad in the world go away. Now, what was that again you wanted to have happen to them? What was that again? You don't want anything bad to happen to them, but they're responsible for all the things that are bad in the world. So you saw what just happened, of course, to Kanye West. Ye's Law. Naming them ruins you. That's the reality. And that's regrettably what Fuentes and others are pushing young men, a lot of young white guys out there, to go down the path of scapegoating an entire group of people on the basis of their birth. And again, I can postulate that even if there was a group that was genetically anti-white, that is still not going to benefit us, not for some sort of touchy-feely moral reason, but because you cannot make a people and find a love for your people in the hatred of someone else. End of conversation. It's never been done. It never will be done. And doesn't over 100 years of failure, isn't that enough? So actually happy that that came up.